A person's credit card has a balance of negative $2,150, so they owe $2,150. If the person pays off 25% of the balance, what is the new balance? And so since we're working with signed numbers, we're going to keep in mind positives and negatives here as we do this. We're really going to be thoughtful about how we do that. So we know that the person is going to pay off 25% of the balance. And so when we see that percent of a value, and we know the value of the balance is $2,150, and it's negative, if I want 25% of that, I know that 25% of means 25% times. So remember how we do this. If we want to find 25% of negative $2,150, we want to change the percentage number to a decimal. So move that decimal point 2 places to the left to give us 0.25. In this context, of means to multiply, and we're going to multiply that by negative 2,150. Now you can work this out by hand if you want, or you could work it out on your calculator if that's okay with your teacher. And either way you do that, when you do the multiplication, what you'll end up with is negative, right, because a positive times a negative is a negative, negative $537.50. Okay. Now be careful, we're not finished here. Remember what we did. This is how much they paid off. But the question isn't how much was paid off. The question is, what is the new balance? So to find the new balance, we want to start with the original balance. The original balance was negative 2,150. And since they're starting to pay off, that means that we would subtract this amount right here, this negative $537.50. Now I know this seems a little bit strange to be doing it this way, but we want to be working with these negative values here. So now that we're paying off, we're paying down our debt, so that means we're going to be subtracting this negative amount. But we know that when we subtract a negative, it's the same thing as adding $537.50. Adding the opposite of that negative is the same as adding the positive. So negative 2,150, we're going to add the $537.50 to that. And again, we can do it by hand, or we can do it by our calculator, whichever our instructor directs us to do, or whichever is our preference. And let's say that if we were to just do this by hand, we can see that we've got a negative and we're adding a positive to it. The signs are different, so we want to be sure to take the difference. So 2,150, we're going to be taking the difference. We're going to be subtracting 537.5. Okay, we could put the 0 on there just because this is money. Remember, we need to keep the decimal points lined up, put on those extra zeros, and now we subtract 0. We're going to need to do some borrowing, coming over here and grabbing some values. So there's going to be our 5, and then 2, and then 1, and one more borrow here. There's 6, and 1. So we end up with $1,612.50. And remember, because the 2,150 has the largest absolute value and it was negative, this is going to be my new balance on my account. And now we've answered the question that they asked us to answer.